Dear students, about the word association test. I've already given session before, but this January 2025, we're going to talk again of word association test for the newcomers here to make them better and probably the other people on the channel to understand it better. Every time we lecture, we tend to become more precise, more concise, and sometimes more elaborative so that you can understand it clearly. That is the purpose of every test. But I certainly, more than the teaching, I also want you to listen to me carefully so that you can understand. And by this, you can create your. Now, talking about word association test, why this test was created, I want to tell you this word association test was created to specifically see your attitude to different parts or different words that are touching your life. You know that everything which we surrounds us are touching our life and affecting us, influencing us, sometimes polluting us also. And when they pollute us, our mind is polluted, we behave odd. But our mind is rich, we behave proper. So the same thing is there. That is why word association test is a combination of 60 words. And in this 20 words are positive, 20 words are negative, and 20 words are neutral. Is it clear? I repeat, 20 words are positive, 20 words are negative, and 20 words are neutral. Now, what do you mean by positive words? Positive words are words like hero, victory, happiness, award, praise, post, recognition, honor, all these kind of things which create a very happy feeling within. They are the positive. They can be character, they can be situation, they can be different things. The negative words are those words which create apprehension, which create challenge, which tend to affect us into reacting to safeguard ourselves. These are all negative words. Like villain, defeat, suicide, death, murder, crime, insult, all these are negative words. Is it clear? Now you would be wondering what are the neutral words. The neutral words are day to day, like family, father, mother, brother, sister, game, study. These are all neutral words. So when you come to neutral words, they are specifically talking of normal words. When you talk of positive words, they're talking of your different kind of feelings as well as identifying your achievements. Now, why these three kind of words were given to you? They were given to identify what have you achieved, as you have written in your biodata that you have achieved something. So you must have enjoyed these emotions. So when you write, they will read those emotions and they will be able to rightly identify whether it is you or you have copied it from somewhere or you're not expressing yourself or you are expressing yourself wrongly or you are negative in your thought process or anything. Many implications will follow. Is it clear to all of you? So now these words automatically will be picking up different elements and they will identify your personality. Now why is this called confirmatory test? Remember one thing, in the story writing you were given 30 seconds to think and thereafter you were given 3 minutes to write. So you had ample time to write and ample. Yes, I have said earlier also, story writing is a very important test because in that 3 minutes of writing, if your concentration is minus and if you are negative in approach and you're trying to pretend somewhere or the other, it will slip open. Getting the point? So the moment it comes out in the open, we will come to know, okay, this is what it is. You may be thinking that you have written a very good story, but in the end, somewhere, some emotion will identify the contradiction of your story. But in VAT, they give you no time. They give you just 15 seconds and you're supposed to write a sentence. In that time, you have to see the word also, think the word also, and write. So you get no time. Now, if we practically look at it, moving our head up and down also requires some time. When you watch something and then you think and then you write down and then you raise up, then you write down, you are practically writing a sentence in 10 to 12 seconds. Am I right? Do you agree with that practically? Both boys and girls? Do you agree with that? Now, now we talk about when you have this, that in 10 to 12 seconds you have to write, how long will be your sentence? Max to max 6 words. But the healthy side would be 3 to 5 words. That means your clarity of thought should be well that in within 3 to 5 words you are able to express what you really feel. Yes or no? So automatically they are picking up how you are writing in that point. Here practice will help you to write better. Let's understand that will the practice help us to get selected? To a certain extent, yes, but more than that, right practice will help you to get selected. Now, what do you mean by right practice? Now, suppose you take a list of words and you start practicing writing them, and you write it and you think that you've done well, you have completed all, so you got selected. No. The type of quality of sentences will also matter. So you have to think relevantly. Now let's talk about this also. Is the WAT list an English test or is it a psychological test? If we are talking about it as a psychological test, then we will identify that it will be reading certain material from them about ourselves. They will be picking up some clue about our personality. So what should we do? Close our personality and not express, or express ourselves freely to the extent that they misunderstand? So what do? We have to discipline our thought. We have to express our thoughts with a disciplined approach and you will be able to do it. Am I right? Getting the point? So now how will you express your thought in a disciplined approach? You will express if you think in a positive and a streamlined manner. That is how I thought. We created a sort of practice exercise so that you guys can learn with the help of certain code so that you have streamlined. Yes, you can do this for n number of times before you appear in SSB, but by the time having that code in your hand, you will be able to create thoughts in a multiple fashion and you will be able to write them in a multiple. Is it clear? For example, in positive words, we told you to write with a code word called dark. What do you mean by dark? Whenever you see something, you see a mobile and you are supposed to write something, you automatically say mobile, an instrument to connect with people. That means what have you done? You have defined the word. And that's exactly what I mean, that if you get a word and you have written definition part, it's okay. It is natural that you will do. You can do that. So if you have seen, that is why I said definitional is a thought process type. Please, you are writing, I guess. So write definitional. What does definitional means? Means that our approach is to take the word and define it in minimum words. Thus, we are able to tell what we really feel. Definition. Is it clear? Not clear? Now then we have another word, another style. Associative. What do you mean by associative? Associative means thinking in our style. Thinking like how we associate with it. Now, how will you associate with something? You will associate with the thought process. That is association. And you'll ask me, what do you mean by this? I'll tell you particularly for quality words. Suppose you get quality words like determination, you get quality words like intelligence, you get quality words like cooperation, you get quality words like decision making. So when you will write in an associative manner, you will think of those words as per your experience. Please pay attention. All the quality words you will think as per your association experience, yes or no. And your style of writing would also be in your way, like we, our, us, I. Understood? For example, let me give you the word to make you clear. I'm deliberately not writing because I want your attention. It is your mind that needs to be trained. And if you will not pay attention, there will be no training whatsoever. I know you are going to n number of places. Everybody is coming up with things, but I want to go to the basics because after all, 3 decades of teaching. Are we always going to do this? No, I'm not planning to do that. I'm going to create a channel for all of you so you guys can solve your problem. Yes, I'll support you with the help of psychological assessment exercise. We'll support you with the help of the interviewers. We'll support you so that you can get some practice. But every day teaching you the same? No. Then why? What about the other? I'm not here to deny that if the other trainers also want to use my learning and use it, no problems. After all, our purpose is to create a better crop for our nation. And if we really want to create a better crop for our nation, we'll have to be transparent. If we keep everything under the blanket or under the carpet, then who's going to learn? Education is all about learning. So please pay attention. I've taught you how to see in a definitional manner which is justified. So if you take a word and you write it in a definition, you are doing good. But now you are having a quality word and you are writing it in an associative style. Suppose you write about cooperation. The word is cooperation. And we say, we are able to perform faster with cooperation. Doesn't that sentence speak volumes of how you work as a team? Doesn't that sentence speak that you are very cooperative and very clear? Yes, no. Similarly, if you have written in determination, my fathers taught me that determination never fails. Now, though you have written a sentence on your father's learning, but after all, it is your quality. And we know that now this quality is part and parcel of your personality. And we are looking at these qualities as OLQs. So where is the problem? Are you understanding? That means if you react with a reactionary approach to the qualities, that means you are not agreeing with it. But if you react with the associative approach to the qualities, that means you are appreciating it either because you are having it or you are wanting to have it. Yes or no? Clear? Not clear? So this is your second modus operandi. The third problem is like reflection. What do you mean by reflection? We created reflection modus operandi particularly for neutral words. Suppose you come across the word game, and as you said, you play badminton, and you have written that badminton is a game for quick movement. Perfectly okay. The girl has played tennis. She writes tennis requires strong limbs. Perfectly okay. Now you will say, sir, word was game, but she wrote on tennis, you wrote on badminton. Hardly makes a difference. Because remember, the psychologist says, write a sentence that comes immediately into your mind after seeing the word. He did not say that you specifically have to use the word. Am I right? So when a person gets a word game, naturally he will go into his own kind of sports. Am I right? So you can write that. Thus you can express yourself freely. 90% of the people who get rejected are only because they don't express themselves freely. Nobody is going to go there in a naked dimension. Nobody can dare do that. And armed forces people are not going to allow that also. So when everybody is going covered, now here I gave that example, physically also and mentally also, everybody is going. Yes or no? But if you are appropriately dressed, both mentally and physically, then your selection is through. Got it, not got it? So if your expression speaks that, okay, you have mentally on the right approach, you will get selected. Now we talk about reflective word, you again get family. You have a family of 3 people and you have a family of 7 people. Yes. So if you have written about it that my family is of 3 people, that can be written. Now you say, sir, should we write something hyperbole or something very phenomenal about family? It is a psychological test. It is not a eology test. Eology means praise test. You don't have to do that. It is a psychological test. So what are you? So you will write, so you will think, so you will express. Got it, not got it? Understood the neutral words. Then the last we have got is knowledge. Time and again, people when they get words like treaty, they get words like agreement, they get words like understanding, and they start talking about current affairs. They say that we have very great understanding with Russia as a country. So what have they written? They've written a sentence on knowledge. Right? So you can write that also. Now, is it that we have to write all knowledge? We have to write all definition? We have to write all associative? Or do we have to write? No. Mix them up. But master all these thought process style so that you can relevantly answer. You don't have to write top to 60 all definition. No. I've just told you how you can streamline your thought and feel confident so that you can check your own VAT. Is it being confident? Is it natural? Or is it going difficult? Got it, not got it? Now we talk about the negative words. You get a lot of negative words. That may be pain, that may be war, that may be defeat, that may be many things. Now here the approach, as I taught you, was horse. Earlier I taught you dark. Now we are teaching horse. Now what do you mean by horse? It means historical. Now you get war and you have written Panipat. War was fought in XYZ years. Right? So what have you done? Nothing wrong. You have historically represented. Or if you want to write I believe war should be fought for safety, you can write. But if you feel that your comment does not go negative, you want to write something historical, you can do that. You won't be negative. Clear, not clear? Then we come down to the another point, that is opposite. What do you mean by opposite? Horse, in the horse, HORSE. So O means opposite. What do you mean by opposite? Opposite means that when you get a word, you automatically think of the opposite word also. This is natural, human thought. When we will think of dark, light will also be in our mind. When we will think of boy, girl will also be in our mind. Am I right? When we will think of defeat, victory will also come into our mind. Yes, no. Got it, not got it. So if you get a negative word, for example, you get a defeat and you feel, I think I'll be more comfortable. What should I write? I don't know. And you want to write on victory, you can do that. But not every time, sometimes. That you have written, victory can be won by systematic efforts. Got it, not got it. So what are you doing? You are reflecting. But how are you reflecting? By allowing your brain to react quickly. So I am here not to tell you that these are the only mantras, but I am here to educate how to become smooth in your functioning so that you can perform. Yes, before you work smoothly, your confidence is very important. You can't keep coming to me to get things checked. Yes, I will check, of course. But Along with it, you should also feel confident that you are writing the right thing. So behind any good writer, there is a logical mind. And I am teaching the principles of logic. Got it, not got it? Understood? Then we come down to the third style called remedial. Now what do you mean by remedial? Whenever you get a negative word, there are some people who look at problems and there are some people who look at solutions. The people who look at solutions, they think of remedy. For example, if they give you disease, you think sanitation and medication checks disease. What have you thought? Remedy. So your sentence is looking at solution. Am I right? Understood, not understood? So remedial approach is also good. It speaks of how positive your psychological aura is and you are going on the positive side solving it. Is it clear? Yes or no? Hope all of you are writing so that you can revise it also. Then we come down anything, any other word also. For example, corruption. In corruption, you say transparency and punishment. We'll check corruption. So what have you done? You have given a remedy. Now don't copy my sentence dot to dot. You can change it in your different language. So I tell everyone you eat from the mouth, but the style of eating is different from person to person. So here, what are you doing? You are doing it in a different way. Is it clear? Then we come down to the another style which I taught people as second person. What do you mean by second person? See, to be sometimes some sentences, responses can create confusion. For example, you have a word lazy and you have written laziness kills time. Now please think like a psychologist. If you write laziness kills time, there is a possibility that the psychologist may think you are lazy because your language speaks so. Am I right? But if you write lazy person, destroy their time. So what have you done? You have not written for yourself. You have written for second person. You have written for the other person. That means you are not lazy. Am I right? This can also apply to angry person. Angry person have less patience. Rather than saying anger kills wisdom or anger kills patience, right? You can write a better, more clear. Everything is perfectly acceptable, but more clarity, more merit. That is exactly what students do. They master their art. They clear the clutter of their brain and they become more clear. And the moment they become more clear, they are able to express. I have said again and again, I repeat it again and again. Once you know that if you stand in front of the rail or a train coming, you will die. And you know that you should not do this. You should not do it. So every person, what is armed forces wanting? They want a trained mind. They want a wise mind. They want a person who is able to repeat and consistently perform. It is not bluff. It is also correction for all of you. You are young people. While you're joining the armed forces, you are young enough to make correction in yourself. Nothing is on platter. Don't live in those romantic moods that you will get the best of heroes. No, you have to create it. You have to accept and make your own hero as the best hero. You have to accept your heroine as the best heroine and make her. Yes, you cannot check the outer influence of brother, sister, some nonsense person. Fortunately, that is why marriages are failing. But the person who is wise can decorate the food. When you get vegetable from the market, you get it in raw form, don't you? Yes or no? But later you cook it and you make it tasty. And then you decorate it and you serve it to your guest. Am I right? So was the vegetable there beforehand? Or was it your cooking that made it beautiful? Tell me. You know, it is your mind and your efforts that make the cooking better. Am I right? So same I am teaching you. So got the second person clear? If you write something very clearly, lazy person, you're writing right. Then we come down to effective communication. Effective perception, sorry, effective perception. What do you mean by effective perception? Now, there are sometimes people who are positive people, they never see dirty things easily. Or even if they see dirty words, they see it in a different format because they don't have dirty thoughts. Is it clear? But there are some people whom are dirty by nature. I know a few people who are all the time talking sick, most of the time talking nonsense, all the time they have something basics and stupid and raw and not at all constructive. All the time they have others to poke, but they don't like their poking. They like to trouble the others, they like to create nuisance for the others. They are totally a pain in the wrong side because they are not looking at themselves, they are living in their own silly world. Clear, not clear? So here we want to talk about effective perception. What is effective perception? Effective perception is not seeing the thing in a negative fashion and seeing it in a positive fashion. It will help you. It will help you to pick up handle particularly social taboos, particularly difficult words, particularly embarrassing words. In our Indian culture, we generally are hesitant to talk about sex because that is part and parcel of our culture. There are many of the people, while you talk sex, they just go into a silly world, and people these days are using the reel and other medias to take you back to the basics. Remember, I have said very clearly, intelligent mind is far above than the body. Vulgar and stupid mind is always living in the body. The people who become leaders, they live beyond their body. And the people who are rustic, who are rural, they live only in the body. Am I right? Do you agree with this? You come across a well-learned man, you will think of society at large. And when you come across stupid man, he will only think of how he can make money and how he can have n number of stupid things to do. That is all. Because so they are, so they will think. And so they have learned. If there is a man who has learned from his father dacoity, treachery, cheating, lying, being very over smart, then they will also become the same. After all, and if that gets rewarded, then certainly. Yes or no? That is why education needs to reach to many people so that they can develop more better and they can think far beyond. So many people, average life is of 70, 80, 100 years. Some earlier it used to be 100 years. Japan, which is peaceful at their own quarters, they have 100 plus years they live. But in our country, there are many people who create so much nuisance that their lifespan is reduced. So the wisdom is important. Now let's talk about effective perception. Now there is a word sex, as I told you, and you have started writing about sex ratio or sexual equality, very beautiful word. Yes or no? And in medical terms, sex identification. Will you be able to write a better word now? Just because you have changed the format of the word. Now, can you change the format? Of course. We are only supposed to take the word as a cue to write sentence. We are not supposed to write the word dot to dot. That is what the psychologists tell us. Is it clear or not clear? So if you add a prefix or a suffix in front of the word and you use it in your sentence, you can very smartly not get trapped in nonsense. There are so many times when you get friends who tell you, okay, come on guys, let's break the law. Let's do this. Let's drink beyond the limit. Let's go and try drugs. But many disciplined among you all people, what do? You say no. Yes or no? Because you're disciplined. You understand that anything on that experimental level, adventurous level, can be harmful in the long run if you are educated, if you are having a educated mind. There are some silly people who will fall into prey because of their psychological weakness, thinking what's wrong in experimenting, and after that they never come out of it. Or even if they come out of it, they do not gain the respect that they rightly deserve, or they keep suffering for years together. Am I right? So what is disciplining thoughts? By disciplining, by adding a prefix or suffix, you can make it better. For example, there is a word fear, and you have written fearless performs best. Look at how smartly you have transformed a negative word to a positive word and written it. Am I right? Yes or no? You've got depression and you've written economical depression requires monetary management. So what have you done? You've taken that idea of depression not in mental system but in economical and written it rightly. Or you have written weather depression indicates storm. So you are automatically changing it and you are making it more handleable. You know, like we hold a pressure cooker in our house, so we have a handle for it, right? If we don't have a handle, what will happen? Every time we will cook, we'll burn our hands, or we'll have to wait till it becomes cool. Am I right? But we have a handle, so what happens? It helps us to hold the fire pan properly. Am I right? Same thing as negative words can be handled. So have you understood this dark words clearly, properly? Any doubts? Now there's one more thing, just for a back of mind. There again I'm telling you it's not mantras. It is only to edit your thought process to a healthy thought process. These are not mantras to be followed dot to dot, but you have to have clarity. There are people who say you should not use I or can or all these kind of things. Why do they do that? Before you make it your mantra, you should understand it. You can use I, you can use can also in your sentence. But when you will use it in that fashion too much or extensively, because can is a doubtful word. I can do it. I will do it is a different thing. I can do it is a doubtful word. That is why they say any doubtful word will be considered as confusion, will not be taken as psychological expression. So remember that is very important for all of you. That when you understand everything, you understand. There are so many people telling mantras, you should do this, you should do that. And lately I have seen that unfortunately psychological training of candidates to make them better officers has become a workshop by many with all the jargons in the world, with all the mantras in the world. I don't say that they are wrong, but I feel the complete thing has to come so that you are able to filter your mind. That is why this YouTube channel is there to dedicate it to all of you so that you can understand and you can rightly read. But this channel is only for the serious candidates. That is why I particularly feel the armed forces personnels, many of you here who are planning to go into the officers will value it more. Read it again and again and become open your mind. The more broader your perspective, the more wiser you are, the more less you will be traumatized. Have you seen that people living in big countries are working more focused with more growth, whereas people living in villages are fighting for small, small things with a narrow approach? Because they're not growing up, they're not using, and life is small. Whether they live in village or in city, the lifespan is nearly the same. Are you understanding what I'm trying to do? Okay, now what we should not do? I feel the code word bagpiper will be well understood. What do you mean by bagpiper? B is for baseless sentence. Some people in the hurry to write a word, they write baseless. Now what do you mean by baseless? What they do is they pick a word and they write it baselessly. Like handsome is a word given, and they have written he is very handsome. Now, nothing is clear. What does he want to say, or what does the candidate want to relate, whether it is a girl or a boy, because the sentence is not being very clear. Suppose this same thing is written in handsome, that handsome individuals are picked as models. More clear? Yes or no? Any doubts? Clear or not clear? Now similarly, beautiful is a word and you are saying beautiful girls are picked as model. Yes, you can write. So being more specific is what I feel. Don't write baseless. Just written it because the time goes less. Coming, boy is coming. Light is burning. Now what are you writing? Are you in a nursery class that you will write anything which has got no meaning, no sense? So your sentence should have a meaning. It should have a sense. It should have a proper connotation. Am I right? Yes, no. Clear, not clear? So that is something. Now we come down A, antonymical. There are some people, what they do is they pick a word and they think the opposite and just write. For example, they get dark. They say dark is opposite to white. They get girl are different from boys. Now, are you trying to teach me antonym? This is opposite to that, this is opposite. Whose house is there? His house is opposite to mine. And where is his house? His house is opposite to mine. My house is opposite to his. Now, what is this? Are you playing some kind of puppy game? So one has to understand what are you doing. Is it clear? Not clear? So that is antonymy sentence. Then there are some people who go for grand. G for grand. They talk big things. They talk as if they are the emperors of the world and they are somebody who's going to suddenly use a magic wand and the world will change. Unfortunately, these people live in their false paradise. They live in illusions of grandeur. They live in illusions of self-love. There will be some people who will say, why didn't you do this for me? Why didn't you do that for me? Rather than understanding others' position, they live in their own self-bloody love. As if they live and others should beck and call in front of them. How long? How much? Am I right? Probably this is never going to happen. Getting the point? Yes or no? This is something. So when you write grand sentence, like forgive the enemy, right, hate none, love all. Now what are you writing? You are trying to behave like grand. I'm not saying that you have to hate all, or I'm saying to write anything, but you can write something which is genuine. Yes or no? They get a word hate and you have written that hatred is breeded as was in Pakistan. Sensible sentence. In Pakistan, every Tom, Dick and Harry leaders for coming to political position had to play with this game because it was bred long back from Ziaul Haq time to other people that hate India, hate it. Anything wrong, light is not coming, India is taking it. Water is not coming, Indian people have it. Economy is failing, Indian people have done it. That thing happened, the Kashmir is the problem. Everything they dumped on India. They developed a hatred. So anybody who had problems, they looked at India, okay, you are the enemy. So hatred is bred, it is created. Sometimes you'll find this game happening in families. You'll find this happening between husband, wife and children. Sometimes insecure mothers, sometimes insecure fathers. They breed hatred in the children toward the other person. Very sad, but this is the reality. Am I right? So, when they get word hate, what are you going to do? Hatred is bred by illusions, by false communications. Rather than writing, grand thing, hate none. I mean, you have to be very clear. Yes or no? Now you get a word war and you write war should never be fought. Then why are you joining the armed forces, boy? You're joining the armed forces to keep yourself fit for war so that others don't dare to fight with you. That is exactly the purpose of the armed forces. We're not thinking that you will go tomorrow and you will fight a war. No, we want you to be so strong that people dare not fight with you. Am I right? Yes or no? If Ukraine had a very strong army, then would have Russia invaded them? Never. If NATO, instead of doing this hideous game, would have fought in front and Russia knew, they would have ever dared? No. That is a lesson for everyone to learn. That many times people make you fight, but they are not behind you. They are playing games with you. One has to learn this. They play games for their ulterior motives. Now look at what is going to happen to Ukraine, such a beautiful country, full of resources. And what is it going to do? It will pay a war loan for years now. Am I right? And they will never prosper. And even because they are well positioned in Europe, they provide gas, they provide wheat, they provide crops, and they were also teaching people. Now that industry is gone. So what is this? It's a bad game, unfortunate. Zelensky's term, in my eyes, is the silliest and most stupidest of statesmen I've come across. Because as a statesman, you have to think neutral. You have to think for the benefit of the nation, not in terms of silly issues. Well, it may be an overstatement on my point, because I do agree that Russia has their perspectives also, which is negative. But again, you have to think at large. So many times people tolerate because they want to keep people protected. Am I right? They must have thought that. Anyway, political scenario. As a teacher, I better keep myself in my domains. So getting back to thing, we are here back to grand sentence. Is it clear? Then we come down to P for philosophy. There are some people at a young age start talking of philosophy. They get a word death, they write death is final truth of life. They get birth, birth will always happen after death. Now all these kind of philosophies is uncalled for. Because we want you as an active, energetic person, not a philosopher. Please. I have always told my students, and I repeat it to you all guys also, we want Shoka before Kalinga, not a Shoka after Kalinga. Because we are creating armed forces. We are not creating a Buddhist force. Am I right? Ashoka before Kalinga was warrior. Ashoka after Kalinga was saint. You know, after the war you can become saint because war has already ensured peace. So you can then regulate it. But without war you cannot sustain because nefarious people will always trouble you. This is the hard reality of life. That is why everyone over the period of time is playing hand in gloves with blood and iron policy. The moment you leave any one of them, you leave the iron or you leave the blood, you're gone. So you have to be kind, that is blood, iron, that is firm. Am I right? So philosophy, what you have understood, we are not supposed to write. So we will check it out. Why it will not? This approach is not too early for you. You are young people. Okay, 4 or 5 years down the line, or maybe 1 or 2 years down the line, I may pick up philosophy, but that does not apply to you because you are young people. You have a lot to live for. You have kids to grow. You have things, many responsibility. Many of you are yet to get married and move on in your life. I've already literally post-graduated or PhD in life. Of course, in real life also I've done law, PhD, but I'm talking about otherwise. So philosophy is not fit for you guys. It does not sound good. It does not sound energetic. If we collect all philosophers in the armed forces, everyone will start thinking that when they will go to the borders, they will talk to the why are you fighting? Right? And those people will be using a weapon. Who will suffer? The countrymen. Because if they will go and spread philosophies there where only the guns work, then will it help to clarify this? Then we come down to a word called I. I openly say that you can use few sentences with I, where you are able to reflect yourself how you do activities. But again, I want to forewarn you, I word with the I tone will be wrong. Like, I can't tolerate this. I don't like this. This kind of sentence should not be written because as a team member, you are not important, the team is important. But if you ever want to write that I and my father sometimes spend time, this can be written. Few sentences can be there because they are allowing you to freely express yourself. But whenever your I sentences become I toned, they start talking of arrogance, they start talking of haughtiness. Yes or no? It will go wrong. Any doubts? Clear or not clear? Yes or no? Now we come down to preaching. Very important sentence. Now this is a very controversial part. Many coachings teach you that don't do preaching. Now what do you mean by preaching? Be respectful to others. Do things in time. These are all preachings. Why do they say this? There is a reason behind it. Many psychologists have said that people who are characterless talk of characters among others because they suffer from a guilt conscience. They themselves are rascals, number one. So they think that anybody and everybody, wherever they go, they do all this. It's all a projective thought process. Alright? Understood? So anybody who is preaching too much every time, nagging, is basically a person who is frustratingly indulging and creating chaos for the others. Got, not got. Got it, not got it. Clear, not clear. Now we come down. So preaching is unfortunate. But few sentences where you have experienced something as values of practice can be written. But not as teaching lessons to others, but as learned lessons for yourself. So if you want to say respect elders, so if you can write, my father taught me to respect elders for their experience. Now that seems more sensible and complete. Right, getting the point. Any doubts? Now we come down. So you can write few preachings, but not too much. Few sentences out of 63, 4, 5. Done. Total ban, I have never advocated, and I will allow the students to reflect themselves freely. You've not come here to sabotage your psychological expression. You've not come here to suffocate your psychological expression. You've come here to facilitate your psychological expression. So in few psychological expressions, you can write something which is within right limits. For example, in your life, you should eat healthy food. Understood? Yes or no? But now and then you have pizza, you have golgappas. Few of them is okay. Now if you regularly go into that same diet, what will you do? You will destroy. So you should not do it in a hyper level. One or two sentences can be okay. Because there is no perfect performance. There is something called natural. Here, any doubts? Now we come down to extra on army. There are some people who believe that they will get selected if they praise army. Everywhere praise army. That intelligent army officers are intelligent, intelligent armies, everywhere they try to become very, what should I say, flattery kind of thing. They are regularly writing. They are thinking by my saying so, I look very heavily interested in armed force. I'm sorry to say that obsession is not appreciated by matured people. Anybody who is obsessive is not to be picked in line, because what happens with obsession? They have too much demands, which is not practical. You have a girl, boys, you have a girl who says that you marry me, otherwise I'll kill myself. Or girls, they get a boy who says marry me, otherwise I'll kill myself. Don't you think he's mentally sick? Done. You have married the person because he will kill. But now the behavior will continue. Yes or no? The behavior will continue to get their things done. They are nauseating. These people are. They are. That is what the new mental chaos which is being appreciated or being recognized in America and other countries is narcissism. What is narcissism? It's self-love. People have gone crazy in their self-love. There are ladies who are as old as, reasonably old, and they want to look as young as a teenager. What is this problem? Narcissism, self-love. They don't want to allow others to live, they want to live on. We have heroes who want to look forever young. And that's funny. Is it clear? We have to move on in the life. Nevertheless, extra on army, I have said not to be written. So if you have written something on army, you're writing on tank, you've written so and so tank is effective weapon, you can write few sentences. But deliberately trying to praise army, will not. Last we come to revolutionary sentences. In revolutionary sentences, you sort of, instead of adaptability, you think of throwing the system away. Yes or no? Instead of adapting and correcting, you think of throwing the system away. Now this cannot be allowed. Maybe you want it to be done, but it cannot be allowed because you will disturb the system. So if somebody comes up with sentences which are revolutionary, that we should put all the politicians in the jail, we should do this, we should do that, though it may sound very pleasing to all of you, we are normal common masses, and or whatever, we are citizens of our country, we are fed up with all these hypocrites who are creating all the chaos. Yes or no? So what we may like the sentence, but these sentences are not practical, they are absolutely on the funny side. Is it clear or not clear? One has to understand. So now you're getting the approach. I've told you about dark horse, how you can use all these words. Like I've told you, neutral words can be rightly used in reflective, can be used in knowledge. I've told you positive words can be used in definitional style, associative style, reflective style. Yes or no? Similarly, I've told you how you can handle negative words on top of a horse by using the code word of horse. Yes or no? Then I've told you how you can abstain from doing something which is funny and odd by the bagpiper. So this way you will come to master your thought process. And why I created this code was that these codes can become snappy and easy to handle and help you think. Now what is the way you can master this? You take a word and try to write in all the four style of dark, positive word. Then you take a negative word and write it in horse. Then you take a other word and then check whether you've not done that piper or something, right? You do it for 30-40 words and suddenly you'll find that your thought process is much better, more in your hand. You're doing nothing. I've not done anything amazing. I've just done some research on the people who were selected and identified that most of the sentences were this. So then I identified what was the category of sentences they were writing, and then I identified how we can create a code word for your sentences for your mind so that they can write and feel confident and they don't have to get it checked. Second point which I told you is never write a very long sentence. Write in 5 to 6 sentences so that it can be that you can manage all the 60 words and complete. Is it clear? So I think the session should be quite open and learning. If you repeat it, you learn, master it, and of course you have to do practice. For other people, I openly say that learn, and in psychological assessment exercise modules which we'll be providing you, you can send it to us, we'll check back and get back to you. Help you correct yourself in your expression. Remember, no one is complete, no one is perfect, but everyone is learning, and the one who becomes a winner is the one who works hard and is ready to evolve. God bless you. Jai Hind.